I'm here with Nathan Oakley, who is UK and International Sales Manager for Chord Electronics. Chord Electronics is really well known in the professional world, but not so well known to all of the general public for high-end, very high-end products like the red standard that you're bringing out here and the red reference series that we have behind us here.
Correct.
Maybe give our readers a little background on the company before you give a presentation of what makes that technology so good.
Okay, sure. Well, the company was founded by John Franks about
20 years ago.
About 20 years ago, yeah, about 1989, so thereabouts. And essentially John, who's an aerospace designer from trade, has wanted a local life and gone into designing hi-fi, mainly as a bit of a hobby to start with, and then has sort of escalated from there, but mainly to keep the owner in a local life, so he can source all of his bits and all of his people and all of his parts.
But it's used a lot of in the professional studios like Abbey Road and
THX and BBC, and yes, the list goes on and on, Sphere Studios. But yeah, I mean, the main reason I think that Chord have been successful in the professional market is because of the way that their power amplifiers, and indeed the rest of their equipment, is used in terms of the power supply. Ultimately speaking, with a lot of other manufacturers out there, they're using toroidal-based power supplies which are working at AC 240 volt, 50 hertz, so therefore you can only charge your capacitors 50 times a second. In a Chord amplifier, it's using high-frequency power supplies which are working at 87 kilohertz. So in other words, you can charge your 87,000 hertz, yes, so you're charging your capacitors 87,000 times a second instead of 50, so obviously infinitely quicker in terms of their ability to drive a loudspeaker.
Okay, why don't you present your new baby? This is the red standard CD player.
Yes, so
just out in the market.
Correct. So based on DAC64 technology, which if anybody's familiar with sort of domestic products from Chord, the DAC64 has been around for quite some time. Yeah. The DAC64 uses what we call field programmable gate arrays, which are the chipsets inside. Each of the 3 chipsets, which you can see through this lens in the top, are 100,000 gates, which we can physically tell to do whatever we like. You know, calculator, be a computer, but obviously in this instance it's a DAC. So depending on which product it goes into, be it the red standard or the DAC64 itself, or indeed the red reference, depends on how the R&D or programming of each chip will be done. So red reference, red standard and DAC64 are running at slightly different tap lengths, depending on which machine you use. So for instance, the red standard and the DAC64, over and above the Brown or analog devices or whoever commercially available chipsets, which work at 262 taps, these are both working at 1,000 taps, whereas the red reference works at 4,000 taps, so it's sort of infinitely better in a nutshell. Okay,
what you were saying to me before is these are actually custom made. The customer comes in, he decides what he wants, and you make each one to measure?
Yeah, every single product ordered through Chord is built to order, so there is no stock as such. It's all built when somebody places an order. So, for example, things like the Integra legs have 4 different finishes, the rod's the same, the casework itself has got in full size 2 different finishes, in coral 4 different finishes, there's 2 different badge sizes, there's 2 different badge colours, so the list goes on and on and on. So in terms of getting the same product out the door twice, it's highly unlikely.
So they're all custom made. This is actually in the market. Can you give our readers and viewers sort of a price point on
approximately £8,000, depending on how you spec the item out in terms of the finish. So the basic machine with sort of no Integra legs is around £7,500, and as you see it here, it's around £8,250 or thereabouts.
And the red reference that we have behind it?
The red reference comes as standard with legs, so it's easier to price. So that's £13,345.
Okay. For more information, people want to go on the website. It's
www.chordelectronics.co.uk.
Nathan, it's been a real pleasure. Thank you very much, and it's been a real pleasure to listen to this.
Brilliant.
Thank you very much.
Our pleasure.